It's gonna be alright, my love.
Are we safe, Mama?
We are now. Go inside.
Lagos never sleeps. It only changes masks. By day, it smells like ambition, sweat, fuel, roasted corn, and money. By night, it smells like secrets. Ada felt both as she stepped off the bus, one hand gripping her small suitcase, the other holding her son's wrist like it was the only solid thing left in the world. "Mommy, is this where rich people live?" Chinedu asked, staring at the glowing skyline. She forced a smile. This is where people survive. That was the truth. She didn't come to Lagos chasing dreams. She came running from failure. 3 months ago, she still had a shop in Enugu, a tiny tailoring business, but it was hers. Then her business partner, a man she trusted like family, disappeared with every naira they had saved. Rent unpaid, machines gone, debt waiting like wolves at her door. Trust, she learned, doesn't break loudly. It rots quietly, then collapses all at once. Now she stood in a city that didn't care if she lived or died. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Welcome to Lagos. Ada, I hope you're ready to work." Her stomach tightened. Only one person knew she was coming. Chief Balogun, a billionaire, a ghost, a man whispered about in business circles like a legend. She had never met him. A distant aunt arranged a job, house manager in his mansion. Good pay, live in, no questions asked. The last part bothered her. "Mommy, who is texting?" Chinedu asked. "No one important." She lied. Another message came instantly. "My driver is behind you. Don't turn around. Walk forward." Her heart started racing. She turned anyway. A black SUV idled by the curb. The windows were tinted so dark they looked like holes cut into reality. The back door opened slowly, like a mouth waiting to swallow her. Chinedu squeezed her hand. "I don't like this car." Neither did she, but hunger was worse than fear. Debt was worse than pride. She walked forward. Inside the SUV, the air smelled expensive. Leather, silence, control. A man in a suit sat in the front passenger seat. He didn't turn around. "Madam Ada," he said calmly. "Welcome. Chief has been expecting you." "Why?" she asked. A pause. "Because," the man replied, "you are very good at trusting the wrong people." The words hit her like a slap. "How do you know that?" she whispered. The man finally turned slightly. His smile was polite. "Empty. Chief knows everything about the people he hires, especially their weaknesses." The car pulled into traffic. Lagos lights blurred outside the window, and Ada felt something inside her settle into a quiet dread. This wasn't just a job. This was a trap disguised as opportunity. Chinedu leaned against her and fell asleep, his head on her arm. She watched his face, peaceful and unaware, and made a silent promise. "Whatever this man wants, I will survive it," because survival was no longer about her. It was about the boys sleeping beside her. And somewhere across the city, in a mansion guarded by walls and cameras, Chief Balogun watched the SUV approach on a screen. He smiled. "Let the experiment begin," he murmured. The gates opened without a sound. Ada didn't see the move. One moment there was a wall of steel. The next the SUV was gliding through like it had permission from the air itself. The mansion rose ahead of them, wide and enormous, glowing under soft lights like a palace pretending to be a home. Chinedu sat up. "Mommy, is this a hotel?" She swallowed. No, but it didn't look like any house she had ever seen. The driveway alone could hold 10 buses. Water spilled quietly down a stone fountain shaped like 2 hands holding the sky. The silence inside the compound felt unnatural. Lagos noise stopped at the gate like it wasn't invited. The SUV stopped. The driver stepped out and opened her door. Warm night air rushed in, carrying the scent of trimmed grass and chlorine from a hidden pool. "Chief is waiting," the man said. "Waiting." The words settled heavy in her chest. She stepped out. Her shoes felt too small for the ground. Chinedu clung to her waist now, eyes darting everywhere. Cameras. She saw them immediately. Small black circles tucked into corners. Above doors. Inside the lights. watching, recording, remembering. This house didn't trust anyone. The front door opened before they reached it. A woman stood there, tall, sharp posture, dressed in a gray uniform so crisp it looked iron onto her body. Her face carried no welcome, only assessment. "You're late," she said. The driver checked his watch. "We arrived exactly as scheduled." The woman ignored him. Her eyes stayed on Ada. "I am Mrs. Kareem. You answer to me unless Chief says otherwise." The boy stays quiet. This is not a playground. Chinedu hid behind Ada's leg. Ada nodded slowly. "Yes, Ma." Mrs. Kareem turned and walked inside without checking if they followed. They did. The mansion interior was colder than outside. Not temperature, feeling. Marble floors stretched endlessly. Their footsteps echoed like interruptions. Expensive paintings stared down from the walls, faces of strangers who looked like they owned pieces of the world. Ada felt small. Not poor small. Invisible small. "You will work 6 days a week," Mrs. Kareem said as they walked. "You will not ask questions. You will not enter the West Wing. You will not speak to Chief unless spoken to." Ada hesitated. "Where will my son stay?" Mrs. Kareem stopped, turned, studied her. "For now," she said flatly, "he stays because Chief approved it. Do not make him regret that generosity." Approved, not allowed. Approved. The difference mattered. They reached the door at the end of a long hallway. Mrs. Kareem opened it. A room bigger than Ada's old apartment waited inside. Clean bed, closet, private bathroom, a window overlooking the city, luxury wrapped in a cage. "This is yours," Mrs. Kareem said. "Orientation begins at 6 a.m. The door shut behind her. Ada stood still. Chinedu ran to the window. "Mommy, we're in the sky." She walked to him slowly. The city stretched below like a glittering ocean. Beautiful, distant, untouchable. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Do you like your new home?" Her blood went cold. She typed back with shaking fingers. "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared instantly. "Someone investing in you." Another message followed. "Trust is expensive. Don't waste mine." The screen went dark. Ada stared at her reflection in the window. For a moment, she didn't recognize the woman looking back. The mansion lights carved her face into sharp lines, fear, exhaustion, and something else. A quiet understanding. This job wasn't about cleaning or managing a house. She was inside a system, and systems didn't hire people like her without a reason. Behind the walls, something hummed. Not a sound, a feeling. Like the house itself was alive, breathing, listening. Chinedu tugged her hand. "Mommy, are we safe here?" The question pierced deeper than any threat. She knelt and held his face. "Yes," she said. It was the biggest lie she had ever told. And somewhere in the mansion, a camera zoomed in, watching her say it. Ada woke at 3:17 a.m., not to a sound, to a feeling. Her eyes opened into darkness, but her body was already alert, heart racing like she had been shaken awake. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then the ceiling came into focus, smooth, white, unfamiliar. The mansion. She turned. Chinedu slept beside her, curled into the blanket, breathing softly. Relief washed over her. She brushed his forehead gently. That's when she heard it. A door closing. Far away. Soft. Careful. The kind of sound someone makes when they don't want to be heard. Ada held her breath. Silence returned, thick and watchful. She told herself it was staff. Night security. Pipes. Anything reasonable. Then it came again. Footsteps. Slow. Dragging slightly. Like someone tired. Or hurt. Her skin prickled. The sound came from the hallway. From the direction Mrs. Kareem told her never to go. The West Wing. Common sense said stay in bed. Curiosity stood up anyway. She slid out carefully, making sure the mattress didn't creak. Her feet touched the cold marble floor. The chill traveled straight up her spine. She walked to the door, opened a crack. The hallway was empty, bright light still on, humming softly. The mansion didn't believe in darkness. Every corner was illuminated, exposed. But the footsteps continued, echoing from the far end. Something moved, a shadow crossing a wall. Too fast. Ada stepped out. Each step felt louder than it should. The air smelled different here, not clean like the rest of the house. Metallic, bitter, like old coins. The west hallway was narrower. The paintings were gone. No decorations. Just blank walls and cameras. More cameras than before, watching every angle. Her stomach twisted. Another sound. A whisper. Not words. Breathing. Someone was breathing hard behind the door. Ada froze. The door was steel. Not wood. Steel. A thin rectangular window sat at eye level. Dark glass. She didn't want to look. She looked. At first she saw nothing. Then movement. A figure stepped into the dim light inside. A man, barefoot, thin, his beard wild, eyes sunken, hospital bracelet hanging from his wrist. He stared straight at her and smiled. Not a happy smile, a broken one. He rushed the window. Ada gasped and stumbled back, hitting the wall. The men slammed into the door from the inside, laughing, a dry, cracked sound that didn't belong in a human throat. "You're new," he rasped. Her blood turned to ice. Lights flickered, red, for half a second, then white again. An alarm chirped softly somewhere above. Footsteps thundered behind her, real ones, running. She turned just as Mrs. Kareem appeared at the end of the hallway, flanked by 2 guards. Her face was no longer cold. It was furious. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. Ada couldn't speak. She pointed at the door. The men inside pressed his face to the glass, smiling wider. Mrs. Kareem stepped between them, blocking the window. "You were warned," she said quietly. The guards grabbed Ada's arms, not hurting, but firm enough to erase any illusion of choice. "That man," Ada whispered. "Who is he?" Mrs. Kareem leaned close. Her voice was calm again. "That," she said, "is someone who trusted Chief Balogun with his future." A beat, and lost it. Ada's knees nearly gave out. They walked her back to her room in silence. When the door closed, she collapsed against it, shaking. Chinedu still slept peacefully. The mansion hummed around them, alive, watching. And for the first time, Ada understood the truth. This wasn't a workplace. It was a vault. And the people inside weren't employees. They were investments. Ada had learned one rule quickly in the mansion. The walls watch, the floors listen, and Chief Balogun decides everything. She never expected to meet him so soon. It happened at exactly 9 a.m. in the central atrium, a glass wall space that made the entire mansion feel like it floated above Legos. Sunlight poured through the ceiling, glinting off the polished marble floors. Mrs. Kareem escorted her. "This is Chief Balogun," she said, flatly. He stood there, taller than she imagined, impeccably dressed in a tailored dark suit, crisp white shirt, gold cufflinks catching sunlight. His presence was calm but magnetic, like a storm just beneath the surface. His eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned her like a banker evaluating a portfolio. Ada swallowed. Chinedu clung to her leg. "You are Ada," he said finally, voice deep and measured. "Yes, sir," she replied. "I've heard about your misfortune," he continued, pacing slowly around the atrium, "and about your loyalty to the wrong people." She felt a shiver. How could he know so much? "That's private," she whispered. He stopped, tilting his head slightly, a faint smile touching his lips. "Nothing is private in my world. Ada, everything you value, everything you hide, I see it." He walked closer. The smell of his cologne was subtle but intoxicating. Cedarwood, faint spice, wealth. Ada instinctively took a step back. "Your son." His gaze softened for a fraction of a second. "I know what you would do for him. That is admirable." Chinedu peeked out from behind her leg, curious. Chief Balogun knelt slightly to meet his eyes. "And you, young men, are very brave." Ada noticed it immediately. The kindness was calculated. Nothing in this house was genuine without purpose. Chief straightened, voice dropping. "This mansion, this job, it's more than you think. People come here with dreams. Some leave with wealth, some with lessons they never wanted. He circled her slowly. Every step felt deliberate, controlled. I like to test trust, he said finally, stopping in front of her. Some pass, some fail, some fail spectacularly. Ada's stomach tightened. She wanted to run, but Chinedu's small hand in hers held her in place. And yet, he added, almost as an afterthought, I think you may surprise me. Her pulse raced. Was that praise or warning? Do not forget, he said, turning toward the atrium doors, that in my house, everything has a cost. And trust is the most expensive currency. Mrs. Kareem appeared at his side. Silently, Ada realized she hadn't moved an inch since stepping into the room. The meeting was over. Chief left, the echo of his polished shoes fading into silence. Ada looked at her son. Chinedu smiled nervously, unaware of the weight of what had just passed. She realized, suddenly, that nothing in this mansion was accidental. Every glance, every word, every shadow was intentional. And meeting Chief Balogun was no exception. She had stepped into a game she didn't yet understand, but she would survive it, or die trying. Plays around 30 to 45% into the story. If the story is speaking to something inside you, this channel was created for you. On Echoes of Wisdom, every story is told to leave you wiser than before. Subscribe and walk this journey with us. The mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Ada had learned to navigate with precision. Footsteps soft, eyes scanning, hands never idle. But tonight, even her practiced vigilance couldn't prepare her. It started with a whisper. A soft metallic scrape echoed through the west wing. Chinedu was missing. Her heart stopped. She sprinted down the hallway, adrenaline pushing her beyond exhaustion. Each security camera blinked overhead like cold, silent witnesses. Every shadow could hide a threat. Chinedu, she called, voice trembling. No answer. The mansion was a labyrinth. She remembered the west wing, the steel door with the prisoner inside. The hallway smelled faintly of metal, like blood or rust. Her chest tightened, panic clawing its way up. Think, Ada, think. She told herself. Her mind raced through worst-case scenarios. What if he wandered into the wrong room? What if someone or something was testing her? She rounded a corner. Chinedu was there, crouched behind a large potted plant, shivering. His small hands clutched a shiny object, a set of keys dangling from a guard's belt. Chinedu, she breathed, relief flooding her. He looked up, terrified. Mommy, I just wanted to see the lights. Her mind screamed, but her body froze. She realized how fragile their safety really was. Every corner of this mansion was a trap, every luxury a gilded cage. Ada's thoughts spiraled. How did I survive before this? How can I protect him here? Suddenly, a floorboard creaked behind them. Her instincts kicked in. She grabbed Chinedu and pressed him to her chest. Two guards appeared at the end of the hallway, expressionless. They didn't speak, just watched. Her panic deepened, but she forced herself to breathe. Control, control. You must stay in control. She realized the true danger wasn't just the mansion or the people inside. It was the effect it was having on her mind. Every test, every camera, every whispered threat. She could feel herself changing, sharpening like a knife, but also fraying at the edges. Trust no one. Protect him. Survive. The mantra repeated in her head as she held Chinedu close. The guards left without a word. The hallway returned to silence. But Ada knew the danger was not gone. It never would be gone here. Tonight, she learned that fear was a tool in Chief Balogun's mansion, and she was already being shaped by it. And if she let her mind unravel, she might fail the most important test of all, keeping Chinedu safe. The mansion had a rhythm, and Ada had begun to hear it. Every camera blinked, every whisper of a floorboard, every soft shuffle of footsteps carried meaning. She woke before sunrise, Chinedu still asleep beside her. Her body ached from yesterday's panic, but she couldn't linger in exhaustion. She needed a plan, a map of every room, every exit, every guard. Trust no one. Her mantra echoed as she dressed simply in a modest blouse and skirt, leaving the suitcase behind. Chinedu rubbed his eyes, shivering slightly. "Mommy," he whispered. "Yes, my love," she said, bending down to hug him close. "We stay together always." The mansion was waking. The guards moved silently, almost as if they were shadows. Ada noticed Mrs. Kareem entering the hallway, eyes sharp, lips pressed into a line that was both judgment and warning. The morning briefing with Chief was scheduled. Ada's stomach churned at the thought. Each encounter was a test. Each word he spoke could be a trap. As they walked, she took mental notes. The distance between guards and doors, camera angles she could spot, where shadows pooled, the predictable sounds of elevator doors. Every observation made her feel sharper, more aware. She realized the mansion was a chessboard, and she was being studied, her reactions cataloged, analyzed. Then it happened, a small accident. Chinedu tripped over a loose rug near the central atrium. A metallic clang echoed through the open space. Mrs. Kareem's head snapped toward them. The guards moved subtly, faster than she expected, eyes cold. Ada's heart leapt into her throat. She grabbed Chinedu's hand and steadied him. "Are you okay?" she whispered, voice trembling. He nodded quickly, eyes wide with fear. I just wanted to see the lights." Mrs. Kareem's gaze lingered on Ada, sharp and unwavering. "Careful. In my house, even small mistakes can be costly," she said. Every word was a warning, every glance a test. Ada swallowed. Fear tried to paralyze her. But she realized something crucial. Fear was a tool, yes, but observation and calculation were stronger. "I can play this game. I can survive." As they walked away, she repeated the steps in her mind. Protect Chinedu. Read the patterns. Anticipate every move. For the first time, Ada didn't feel entirely powerless. The mansion had rules. And rules, she realized, could be learned, exploited. But survival wasn't enough anymore. She needed to understand why. And Chief Balogun, he would reveal that in time. The mansion had stopped being just a house. It was a game. And every game had rules, some visible, some hidden. Ada had memorized the routes, the camera angles, the predictable movements of guards. She had learned when Mrs. Kareem would appear, and how quickly the slightest misstep would draw a silent, cold response. But learning patterns wasn't enough anymore. The mansion tested her resolve, not just her intelligence. It started in the kitchen. Chinedu wandered too close to a locked pantry door. Inside, she knew, was not food, but a warning. The doorknob had been deliberately polished, tempting curious hands. "Chinedu, stay close." Ada snapped, heart hammering. He froze immediately, eyes wide, gripping her skirt. She realized this was not just discipline, it was training. Every mistake in this mansion, no matter how small, was a lesson in obedience or fear. Later, while delivering reports in the central atrium, she finally saw him, Chief Balogun. He did not rise to greet her. He merely watched from the top of a sweeping staircase, hands clasped behind his back, eyes calculating. He spoke without moving his lips. Words appeared on a tablet in front of her, a pre-recorded message. Observation is everything. Trust is earned and loyalty is measured. Ada's stomach churned. Every glance, every movement, every hesitation was cataloged. Every thought she thought in the presence of the mansion's eyes was a visible choice. And then came the test she hadn't expected. The house seemed to shift around them. Hallways she had memorized felt longer, doors farther apart. Chinedu tripped again, this time over a decorative vase pedestal. A metallic tinkle echoed through the atrium. The guards were instantly there, silent and imposing, flanking Ada. Mrs. Kareem appeared from the shadows, her eyes sharp. No words, only assessment. Ada realized the mansion wasn't just watching her. It was pushing her, nudging her to make choices under pressure. Her mind raced. Panic tried to creep in, but she caught herself. Fear is predictable. Strategy is power. She pulled Chinedu close, whispered instructions in his ear. "Stay quiet. Follow me. Watch carefully. Always." Every instinct screamed survival. Every observation screamed opportunity. And as Chief Balogun's calm, unseen eyes observed them, Ada understood something chilling. The mansion did not break people by force. It broke them by trusting the wrong people, the wrong moments, the wrong choices. And she would not fail, not for her son, not for herself. Ada had learned one undeniable truth. The mansion watched everything. Every glance, every step, every heartbeat was recorded, not just for observation, but for judgment. She had survived small tests, like tripping over rugs, observing camera patterns, and reading the subtle movements of guards. But survival was no longer enough. She needed to understand the system, to manipulate it to protect Chinedu. The morning began like any other. Chinedu clung to her hand as they walked through the central atrium, the polished marble reflecting the sunlight like a mirror of her growing awareness. Mrs. Kareem followed silently, her gaze sharp as ever. The guards flanked them, a constant reminder that even small mistakes were costly. Ada saw her first opportunity. A loose stack of documents had been left unattended near a side hallway. Moving closer risked attention, but she calculated the angles of the guards and cameras. Slowly, deliberately, she nudged the papers, creating a distraction just enough to mask Chinedu's small hand brushing against a nearby door to explore. The clatter was subtle, but Mrs. Kareem's head snapped toward them. Her eyes narrowed, calculating, but she didn't intervene. Ada exhaled quietly, one step at a time. Later, in the atrium, a message appeared on a tablet. Chief Balogun's voice materialized in cold, calm text. Every choice has a consequence. Observe, adapt, survive. Ada's stomach tightened. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning, a challenge. Chinedu tugged her skirt. "Mommy, are we in trouble?" She knelt, holding his hands. "Not if we're smart. We follow the rules and make our own." Her mind raced. Each test had taught her patterns, and patterns could be predicted. Fear could be controlled. Trust could be earned, even a house designed to strip it away. She realized something terrifying and exhilarating. The mansion didn't just observe weakness. It created it, and she had to turn that game back on them, step by step, to keep her son safe. For the first time, Ada felt more than fear. She felt control, tentative, fragile, but real. And somewhere above the atrium, Chief Balogun watched, measuring, analyzing. He would notice her growing awareness, and he would enjoy the game. Ada had learned to walk carefully, speak sparingly, and move with purpose. The mansion had a rhythm, and she had begun to predict it. But prediction alone was not enough. It was one thing to survive the test. It was another to control the outcomes. Chinedu clung to her side as they entered the central atrium. Sunlight poured through the glass ceilings, glinting off the polished marble floors. Every reflection, every shadow, felt alive. The mansion watched, always. Mrs. Kareem followed silently, eyes sharp, lips pressed into a line that was both warning and judgment. The guards flanked them like dark sentinels, unmoving, calculating. Ada's first challenge appeared subtly, a small envelope left unattended on a side table near the grand staircase. She recognized the setup immediately, a test, not an accident. Her instincts screamed caution. Her mind raced. Move too slowly, and you fail. Move too fast, and you fail. With calculated care, Ada nudged the envelope with the tip of her fingers, pretending to glance at a nearby sculpture as Chinedu stepped closer, curious. A soft click echoed. A camera above tracked her movement. She felt the gaze even before she saw it. Then the tablet at the center of the atrium lit up, displaying Chief Balogun's code. Precise text. Observation is your first currency. Choices define trust. Fail, and consequences follow. Ada's stomach twisted. The mansion didn't just record mistakes. It amplified them, making her every decision a potential trap. Chinedu tugged at her sleeve, wide-eyed. "Mommy, are we in trouble?" She bent down, meeting his gaze. "Not if we are smart. Always think one step ahead." She realized that fear was now a tool she could use strategically. Every glance, every hesitation, every tiny movement could be leveraged to protect her son. Mrs. Kareem's gaze lingered, cold and calculating. The guard shifted subtly, a reminder of the silent, ever-present threat. Ada felt the mansion around her like a living organism, watching, testing, nudging her toward mistakes. But now, she had begun to understand the rules, the patterns, the triggers. She was no longer just surviving. She was learning to play the game on her own terms, one careful choice at a time. And somewhere above, Chi Balogun observed silently, measuring her resolve, anticipating her next move. The first challenge was over. But Ada knew the real tests were just beginning. The mansion's silence was deafening. Ada had been walking its corridors for weeks, memorizing every reflection, every shadow, every faint sound. She knew the cameras watched, the guards waited, and Mrs. Kareem's eyes were everywhere. But nothing could have prepared her for the choice she was about to face. Chinedu clung to her side, small hands gripping her skirt, eyes wide. A small glass box sat on a pedestal in the center of the atrium, illuminated by a single shaft of sunlight that cut through the mansion's glass ceiling. Inside was a key, one that Ada immediately recognized could unlock a hidden room, a room she had never been allowed to enter. Her instincts screamed caution. Every test in this mansion had consequences. But curiosity, necessity, and a faint hope of uncovering a secret to protect Chinedu pushed her forward. As she approached, Mrs. Kareem appeared silently behind her, expression unreadable. The guard shifted subtly, flanking them without a word. The tablet lit up again, Chi Balogun's words scrolling across the screen. Every choice reveals your nature. Protect what is yours, or lose everything. Ada's mind raced. Take the key, and risk immediate consequences. Leave it, and remain blind to what the mansion held. Chinedu tugged at her hand. Maui, is it safe? She knelt and whispered, voice steady despite the racing in her chest. We only do what keeps us alive, and smart. Watch closely, my love. Ada's hand hovered over the glass. Every instinct screamed to pull back, but she remembered the lessons of the last weeks: observation, calculation, patience. Fear was not her master, strategy was. Slowly, deliberately, she lifted the key, holding it in her palm like a fragile, dangerous promise. The guards didn't move. Mrs. Kareem's gaze remained piercing. The mansion seemed to hold its breath. Ada realized something chilling. Trust, survival, and morality were all tests here, and the cost of a single choice could be unimaginable. For Chinedu, for herself, for their future in this house, she had made her choice. The real challenge was only beginning. The mansion was quiet, almost too quiet. Ada's hand still trembled from holding the key. Every instinct screamed caution, every fiber of her being alert. Chinedu clung to her side, sensing her tension. Mrs. Kareem's piercing gaze followed their every movement, as silent and unforgiving as the walls themselves. The guards flanked them like statues, unmoving, but radiating menace. Then the tablet lit up again. Chi Balogun's words appeared, cold and calculated. Every choice has its weight. Every trust has its price. Let us see yours. Ada's heart pounded. She realized the mansion was not just testing fear, but moral judgment, strategy, and maternal instinct. A sudden mechanical click echoed through the atrium. The glass box slid open automatically, leaving the key exposed. It was a challenge, a lure. Chinedu stepped forward instinctively, reaching out. Chinedu. Ada shouted, grabbing his hand just in time. The guards tensed, Mrs. Kareem's eyes sharpened, and the mansion itself seemed to hold its breath. Ada realized the cost of a split-second mistake here was unimaginable. She pulled Chinedu close and made her choice. Slowly, deliberately, she took the key, but she didn't act rashly. She analyzed, observed, calculated. The mansion responded immediately. Hidden panels slid open, revealing a room bathed in dim, eerie light. Inside, she saw files, photographs, and objects that revealed the mansion's dark secret: experiments in control, fear, and manipulation trust. Ada felt a wave of horror, but also clarity. The mansion's test had one ultimate lesson: trust is fragile, loyalty is currency, and every choice defines who survives and who doesn't. She turned to Chinedu, holding him close. We do what we must, my love, always, but we never lose ourselves. Mrs. Kareem remained silent, her eyes cold but acknowledging the decision. The guards relaxed subtly, the silent tension easing. Chief Balogun's words appeared one final time. You have learned much, but remember, trust must be chosen wisely, and consequences are forever. Ada realized then that the mansion would never stop testing them. But she had survived, and for the first time, she understood. True trust comes not from others, but from knowing yourself and protecting those you love. She held Chinedu close, their bond unbroken, even in the midst of fear, wealth, and tragedy. The mansion was powerful. It was cunning, but they had survived its ultimate test. The mansion's gates closed behind her, but the echo of its silence lingered. Ada held Chinedu close, feeling the weight of weeks of fear, calculation, and observation. For the first time, she could breathe without planning every step. She looked at her son's eyes, wide, tired, but safe. Trust, she realized, was not something the mansion could teach. It was something she carried inside herself. The mansion had tested her, tempted her, even tried to break her, but they had survived together. And now, for the first time, she could decide who to trust and when, not for survival alone, but for life. The shadows of the mansion remained, but they no longer controlled her. She stepped forward, Chinedu's hand in hers, and for the first time, the world felt like a place they could navigate, carefully, wisely, and together. NOF Stories CTA, Emotion Action. Stories end, but wisdom stays. If you believe stories can change the way we see life, welcome to Echoes of Wisdom. Subscribe and let every story leave you better than it found you.